Many of us are living for or through someone else, and we don't even know it. But if left unchecked, not only does it lead to a life of emptiness, but it also leads to contempt and disdain and distrust for those we care about most. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, former Super Bowl champion, and one of the realest men I know, Steve Weatherford. We cover a lot of ground in this one as he gets real about why sports were such an important part of his life, his transition from professional football, the concept of life mastery versus life balance, how results born from insecurity do not serve us, and how ultimately to live life on our own terms.
You're a man of action. You live life to the fullest, embrace your fears, and boldly chart your own path. When life knocks you down, you get back up one more time, every time. You are not easily deterred or defeated. Rugged, resilient, strong. This is your life. This is who you are. This is who you will become. At the end of the day, and after all is said and done, you can call yourself a man.
Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler, and I am the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here and welcome back. We have had some incredible guests over the past several weeks and months, and I'm glad that you're tuned in. If you are just tuning in, I would ask that you please subscribe. Also, if you would and have not yet done this, please leave a rating and review. Guys, it goes such a long ways in promoting what we're doing here. And you know as well as I do, if you've been around for any amount of time, how needed this movement is. This is a mission to reclaim and restore masculinity in a society that, as I've said before, is increasingly dismissive of it. And we're seeing the problems, right? We're seeing the civil unrest. We're seeing the violence. We're seeing the tearing down of the fabric of democracy. Families are being dismantled. Churches are going by the wayside. It's pretty tragic if you stop and think about it. Now, I know there's a lot to be hopeful for, but there's a lot to be worried about. And it's going to take strong, assertive, bold, competent men to combat this, what I've dubbed the doctrine of popular culture. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We do that via this podcast. We've got programs and we've got our brotherhood and all these kind of things. But ultimately, the reason I was telling you that is because we need to advance this mission. And we do that through this grassroots movement called Order of Man. So please share it, shoot a text with your favorite episode to somebody, leave a rating and review, tag somebody on our socials, whatever you can do to get this message out. It's a great way to share what we're doing here and to reclaim, like I said before, masculinity in this world that doesn't seem to want to do that, but needs to do that. Guys, as always, I've got an incredible, actually one of my favorite podcasts to date. I know it's easy for me to say, but you guys are really going to agree, I think, as you listen to this one. But before I get into my guest, let me just briefly mention my friends at show sponsors, Origin Maine. Now, it's getting a little cool. I hate to admit, but I actually turned the heat on to my house yesterday, the day before. I really wanted to get through October without turning it on, but it's been a little cool. I was going to blame it on my kids, but truth be told, having those nice radiators on was actually pretty nice the other couple of days. I say that because it's time to bust out your boots, put away the sandals, put away the flip-flops, put away the slip-ons, whatever it is you wear. Put away the shorts because it's time to bust out the boots and your jeans, which I like. It's jeans and boots weather. If you guys are interested in getting a pair of American made and sourced boots and or denim, then check out originmaine.com. Originmaine.com. They've got some incredible jeans they're making. The boots, in fact, right now I have my bison boots on. I wear those just about every day. And I think you're going to be very, very impressed with the quality and comfort. You can check it out at originmaine.com. Oh, and by the way, use the code ORDER, ORDER. Use the code ORDER at checkout because you're going to get a discount when you do. Again, originmaine.com, use the code ORDER. All right, guys, let me introduce you to Steve. Him and I met years ago. He invited me and my family to visit him and his family in California for the weekend, and we just hit it off immediately. We connected, we became good friends, and I know not everyone gets the chance to build a solid relationship with people they admire and respect, but Steve is definitely one of those people for me. He's an incredible athlete. He's an incredible man. Of course, he's a Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants. And then after leaving the NFL, he went on to broadcasting. He's since started and grown this incredible fitness business and supplement business called Weatherford Fit. And he's also the host of his podcast, The Steve Weatherford Show. All of that stuff is wonderful, and I think that's what matters to you. But what matters to me is he's a friend. He's somebody I admire. I respect him. I look up to him. I turn to him for advice. And I think you're going to see why that's the case. Guys, enjoy. Steve, what's up, man? So good to see you as always.
Man, dude, I'll tell you what, before we even get into this, Ryan, I follow a lot of guys on Instagram, and I have to tell you, man, you are the most informational father that I follow, man, and you're so consistent. So before we even get going on this, man, I just wanted to honor you for the father and the husband that you show up as on Instagram. But I've been blessed enough to be able to get to know you and do life with you, do some hard stuff with you before.
For sure.
And man, I just want to honor you before we get going, man, because I think you're a hell of a guy.
I appreciate that. The feeling is definitely mutual. I see you and your oldest Ace out there doing your workouts, doing your thing together. And I'm like, man, this is exactly what the world needs. You know, like we're so inundated with business and entrepreneurship. And there's nothing wrong with that by any means. You and I are both entrepreneurs. Right. But I just want to see dads turn to their sons. I want to see sons turn to their dads, and I want to see that connection forged. And you, my friend, are living it, which I love.
And yeah, thank you, man. It's been an evolution. I mean, think about it, dude. We're young dads. You know, how old is your oldest?
He's 12.
Yeah, so my oldest is 12 too. I thought they were about the same age. My son's about to be a teenager. I'm not even 40 yet. You know, I had my son when I was 24 years old. And man, I've learned so much. I feel like the first 8 years of his life, I was really trying to figure out who I was, you know? And then when you talk about, hey, man, it's, you know, I think you do such a great job, Steve. Dude, hey, man, you should have caught me like 4, 5, 6 years ago when I was like really in the middle of trying to figure out like who I am. Because I feel like that's a difficulty of a lot of men is like they want to be great fathers and they want to be great leaders. But I mean, deep down, they don't really like – they're not okay with who they are and what their identity is. And so how can you have like a family mission statement or a family mantra if you don't really have like truly have an identity for who you are and to be able to be comfortable with that? And I feel like a lot of men are uneasy.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. But what do you think has changed for yourself? I certainly feel what you're saying for me personally as well. But I'm really curious, you know, what has changed in your life, whether it's personal work or extenuating circumstances that have made you feel more grounded in who you are, and then you're more capable of serving your wife and children?
Yeah. I mean, there's no manual for being a dad. There's no manual for being a professional athlete and a dad. There's no manual for doing what you're doing right now. Like you literally are blazing your own path. And so really what I want to get to in mentioning that is, man, as I've evolved as a person, the thing that I believe that has changed the most in me, and really kind of like when you and I first connected, Ryan, I was really starting to go through a lot of that deep work. And for a lot of my life, I spent a lot of time working on the extrinsic things, meaning like I wanted to be able to achieve with my abilities because, man, dating back to like when I was 5 years old, and I know I'm skipping around a lot here, listeners, man. I'm honored you guys are sticking with me, but we will.
No, it's good, man. This is the stories we want to hear, so it's all good.
Yeah, because I've got ADHD, man, so we will go a couple places. But I mean, just kind of starting back at 5 years old is really when I started to kind of like form my identity and my worth. And I remember getting sent home from the principal's office the first 5 days in school, just for different stuff, you know, talking, pulling people's chair out and laughing, disrupting. Point is after that first week of school, it was the first I really realized, Ryan, that I was really different than everybody else, you know, because of my extreme level of ADHD. Because I knew I was different than my brothers and my sister. That's apparent because you get to live with them. But it was the first exposure I had to a large group of people and realizing that I was like the alien in the group. And so it was kind of like at that form, I hate to say it, but I started to hate myself for being so much different than everybody else because I'd go to Sunday school and I'd make trouble. I'd go to school and I'd make trouble. We would go on car trips and I would make trouble. I couldn't sit still. And the only time like that overabundance of energy or that like ridiculous drive was celebrated was when I was playing sports. And so that was the place that made me feel like worthy. That was the place people were like, oh, Steve, you can't sit still and you're the busiest person out there. That's awesome. Great job. Keep going. And so that kind of like in my mind, it formed that, you know, I created the story that I'm only worthy when I'm playing sports and when I'm achieving and when I'm winning. And so it really kind of formed a relationship with sports early on that ended up achieving greatness. And, I made some money and achieved championships and stuff like that. But from a little boy standpoint, one of the reasons I was able to have that much drive is like sports to me weren't just like for fun to compete. I felt like as a little boy, and even my mom will she mentioned this to me a couple of years ago when we were watching my son. She mentioned that when I played sports, I never smiled. Like I never celebrated wins, and I would get upset if we would lose, but I never celebrated wins because she always felt like I took it so seriously. But to me, it was life or death, because think about when you're a little boy and all you want to do is like make people notice you for a good reason, especially your dad. And my dad, just like most people's dads, that are our age, Ryan, we're old school. He was a Midwest dad. He wasn't a dad that like patted you on the head and said, I love you. Good morning, champion. Like, let's go up and be great today. Let's make the best of the rest of our life the best of our life. No, he was the type of dad that said, wake up, there's work to get done, and that's how I grew up. And so when I won games or when I achieved, because I believe my dad had that mindset, that was an expectation. So celebrate the wins. And this kind of mindset followed me all the way through, high school, college, pros. And I remember holding a Super Bowl trophy with my family. This is obviously many years later. I think I was 27. I remember holding a Super Bowl trophy and thinking, man, I've achieved everything every little boy would ever want to achieve. And I did it 47 miles from my hometown, right? And I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, but just be with me. So I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana, 47 miles from where my hometown is. I'm holding a Super Bowl trophy, and I broke the Super Bowl record for most punts inside the 20-yard line. I had the best game of my life and the biggest game of my life. And let's just say this, guys, I'm a punter. So it's really hard to at the end of the day, feel like you really influenced the outcome of the day.
Yeah, but come on, you're not just a punter. You were a badass punter at the same time.
Well, that's the deal. Like, you really have to be like the next level of that position, because that position doesn't have that much influence, right?
You weren't the quintessential punter that we all think of. All right, let's be real about this, which I do appreciate about you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I try to max out every area of my life, like our friend Milet says. And so point is like I had the best game of my life, and we've won a lot of games in my 10 years in the pros. I won a lot of games. There were several games that we won that I honestly didn't even touch the field. They would cut me a check for like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a week, when I was younger, and I wouldn't even play because I wasn't even the holder for field goals. So my point is, I've been a part of teams that have won things, and I've never really felt like it was like important to me, that because I didn't feel like I changed the outcome of the game. But in this Super Bowl 46 against Tom Brady, I'll never forget it. My first punt of the game was from the 42-yard line. And man, that thing went up. It hit the ground on the 1-yard line. It didn't bounce forward. It didn't bounce left. It didn't bounce right. It didn't bounce backwards. It bounced straight up in the air. And my long snapper had enough time to run down there, down the ball at the 2-yard line. And then the very next play, Tom Brady drops back in the pocket, looks right, looks down the center of the field and see Justin Tuck coming at him. So he chucks the ball. They get an intentional grounding. So the first 2 points of the game were the play after my punt, and one of my best friends, and it was really kind of a validating point in my career as a man and as a football player, is Justin Tuck, our team captain, guys he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And as soon as he got that intentional ground, he ran right over to the kicking net. I'll never forget him, like pulling me up off of the bench by my breastplate of my pads and like almost holding me up like a little baby. I'm a pretty big dude, right? Holding me up like a little baby. And he goes, dude, that was an alley-oop and you let me dunk it. You know what I mean? Essentially saying that punt set me up to be able to do what I just did. And he validated my worth to the team. And really, I kind of want to circle this all back to worth. The worth that I formed of myself as a little boy, and how I formed my worth predicated on what I could achieve or what I could provide. And so the game ended. We won 21-17, unfreaking believable. We beat Tom Brady. And I remember running across the field and then looking to find my parents and my son and my wife, my daughter in the crowd. And I remember pulling my son out of the crowd and holding him up. Confetti's coming down. It's this is it, dude.
Yeah, man.
And I remember him saying, Daddy, we did it. We won it. And he was only 4, but then I put him down, and then instantly he was like, just wanted to play with the championship part was over.